Russia executed 77 civilian detainees in Ukraine. Russia summarily executed 77 civilians being held in arbitrary detention during its invasion of Ukraine, killings which constitute war crimes, the United Nations said Tuesday.
Here's a summary of the article.
Russia summarily executed 77 civilians being held in arbitrary detention during its invasion of Ukraine, killings which constitute war crimes, the United Nations said Tuesday. Since the invasion, the UN Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine has documented 864 individual cases of arbitrary detention by Russia. 763 men, 94 women and 7 boys, many of which also amounted to enforced disappearances. We documented the summary execution of 77 civilians while they were arbitrarily detained by the Russian Federation, Matilda Bogner, head of the mission, told a press briefing in Geneva. The UN Human Rights Office published a 36-page report on civilian detentions in the war, based on the mission's findings. Russian armed forces, law enforcement and penitentiary authorities engaged in widespread torture and ill treatment of civilian detainees, said Bogner, presenting the report. In around a quarter of the known cases, civilian detainees were transferred to other locations within Russian-occupied territory or deported to Russia, she said. The mission has not documented any summary executions of civilian detainees by Ukrainian forces.
This post received a score of 20,000, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Torture was used to force victims to confess to helping Ukrainian armed forces, compel them to cooperate with the occupying authorities, or intimidate those with pro-Ukrainian views, said Bogner. The torture methods used included punching and cutting detainees, strangling, waterboarding, electric shocks, deprivation of water and food, putting sharp objects under fingernails and mock executions.
Greater than mock executions. Out of that entire list, it is somewhat the vaguest, but it got the biggest reaction out of me. To put someone into a situation where they face in their eyes certain death feels so incredibly wrong, even in comparison to the rest of fucked up shit they do.
They've been using fake executions since before they finished taking Mariupol. One of the Azov prisoners that came back, she talked about how they constantly did the fake executions, and while she was pregnant, with threats of taking her child away. I can't find the original link I had that had her describe the mock executions, but that was before they left the Mariupol area, holding area.
Please tell me that she and the baby are safe now.
She was actually really concerned about that, the same source goes on to say.
Greater than healthy. I wish this was more objective a statement than it truly is. A fetus subjected to massive, non-stop stress hormone dumps from the mother isn't going to be healthy mentally or endocrinally. There are going to be serious psychological and hormonal problems resulting from that trauma. Opening parenthesis.
Not necessarily. Definitely higher risk of issues, but it may be fine. Pray for the mother and child if that's your thing, and be hopeful.
Greater than Putin is not a war criminal. V. Orban.
Actually, Putin is a very smart man. Donald Trump.
A genius move by Putin? DJT.
Doing jail time?
Grand Old Politburo.
They've been doing this since 2014. Documents were found of the Russians in the occupied regions holding drumhead courts and executing people, by authority of the Supreme Soviet. They were performing arbitrary executions of civilians from the very beginning and using whatever flimsy old USSR documents they had on hand to justify it.
This is what people don't understand about Ukraine 2014 and Ukraine 2022. In the 8 years since eastern Ukraine has been under Russian occupation, the Russian authorities have been so corrupt and so cruel that they had lost all support from the local population. That is why Putin invaded in 2022, because they were losing control and needed to bring out the big guns, literally, to salvage the situation.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.